Well, good morning. It's 8:12, 71 degrees in downtown Galesburg. Galesburg's morning news. Tyler Gum, Jay Redfern, Cameron Line. And as we do before every city council meeting, we're joined by City Manager Eric Hanson to preview the agenda for tonight's second of two September meetings. While the agenda is fairly light this week, it includes important items like an update on the Galesburg Promise program, a major grant for Thrushwood Farms expansion, new equipment for the police department, and a council member nomination. So, of course, Eric, thanks for joining us this morning. How's it going?
It's going great. Glad to be here. It warmed up again, so I hope that subsides pretty soon. It was pretty toasty this weekend.
It was,
Yeah, we'll get through this week. We'll be okay.
But the orange and blue the orange and blue that I pay attention to.
3-0.
The Illini are 3-0. The other orange and blue not faring so well.
Don't talk about that.
And big one coming up this week. So fall is here.
Fall is here. Yes. And so, of course, City Council tonight. Sounds like things are going to get started with a presentation from Sandberg.
Yeah. So, Eric, to start with, Adam Scott and Eric Johnson from Carl Sandburg College are going to present an update on the Galesburg Promise program. Can you talk about what that program means to the city and the impact on local students and families?
Well, first I gotta clarify this. The agenda went out, and then after the agenda went out, one of their members had an unfortunate circumstance in the family, and they can't present. So it's actually going to be next meeting, but the agenda was already out. So obviously we'll push that back. But happy to talk a little bit. I mean, the Galesburg Promise program, not dissimilar to many other communities that work in tandem with local both primary and secondary education, as well as higher education, and provide support and resources to keep students local, and also provide them an avenue to higher education, both at Carl Sandburg and then ultimately at Knox. And so great program. It reaches a lot of local students, and we're looking forward to an update on the data from CSE and the folks there, but it will have to unfortunately happen in the first meeting in October.
Yeah, we'll hear from that down the road. The council is considering a nearly $58,000 bid from TW Gunworks of Galesburg for 60 new Glock handguns, sights, holsters to replace some previous models that had some safety concerns and actually prompted some bans elsewhere. Can you walk us through why the police department is making that change?
Yeah, it's safety driven. I think the weapons in question that we have currently, they've had a handful of instances where the weapon discharged without anybody touching the trigger. So, and that's why they've been started to be banned. I think the chief did a really good job of walking through options, doing research, and obviously we need safe, reliable equipment for our staff and for all the folks that we interact with. And so pretty straightforward. Obviously, it doesn't impact the general fund in the way it was structured in terms of, selling the former weapons back to the manufacturer the gun dealer, and then utilizing some special enforcement funds. But, like I said, safe, reliable equipment is key, and a lot of departments use this service revolver. So get these changed out. I mean, obviously, Chief Legate would be better equipped to get into the specifics of the equipment, but from a safety standpoint, from a reliability standpoint, obviously I'm supportive of the move, and look forward to getting this behind us and getting the new revolvers into use and get the other ones out.
The agenda also includes a $29,000 proposal from KCOM Technologies for installing antennas and conduit on city towers as a backup for the city's fiber network. I know it's kind of probably, I'm not even sure if you exactly can explain it well, but do you know what this involves?
Yeah, it's just redundancy in our system.
Okay.
Making sure that it's, obviously we have people out working all over, within city limits, and it's all connected or interconnected via network, and having reliable access from all the way out to the airport, north to Lake Story, obviously to the south, and to the east as well. This is just an effort that our IT folks are doing to build capacity, build the IT infrastructure that's required to operate the city and to improve redundancy in the system.
The Facade Advisory Committee recommends a $18,000 grant for facade improvements at 331, 337 East Main Street by 1% Better LLC, which, of course, Orange Cup Sidecar will open a new facility down there on East Main Street. It will have 3 full-time and 7 to 10 part-time jobs. We covered this before about the facade agreement, but kind of talk about why this project's good for downtown.
Well, it's another business not dissimilar. I think a couple weeks ago we had the pet shop, the pet store. Also, really happy for the whole team at Orange Cup, and I think this is a really good fit. And I assume like you, Jay, I'm a bagel fan, so I'm pretty excied about this, right?
Within walking distance.
Yeah, right.
Too, right?
Orange Cup has got a really good product and business going. I think it meshes well with, some of the other things that are already in downtown. Obviously excited to see this. It's definitely going to be colorful if you've seen the rendering. So,
it'll stand out for sure.
And I think, Scott and Melanie and their team, they do a great job. They do everything first class. And I think it's going to be a great addition to downtown. And obviously this program helps support that kind of activity.
Okay, we're talking to Galesburg City Manager Eric Hanson ahead of tonight's meeting at City Hall, 6 p.m. Here's a big one, $100,000 major project grant for Thrushwood Farms Quality Meats. They're going to have a $22 million expansion on their West Main facility, adding 52 new jobs. So that's going to be on the agenda. We have a story up on WGIL, but and that's beyond their existing plan at the Maytag plant on Monmouth Boulevard. Talk about what this means for Galesburg.
Well, first and foremost, to have a company continuing to expand in manufacturing jobs is pretty outstanding. Yeah. I think, I was communicating with Doug the other day, and, back at the end of 23, first part of 24, they had about 110 employees, and now they're, going to be north of 350, right. And plus they have their headquarters here, and, that's a significant number of jobs. It's a significant amount of payroll. And it also just shows and allows us to show others that, you can be successful here, that you can operate here, that you can do manufacturing here. And so, we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate to have them as a partner. We already had the other agreements in place for their larger projects. This is part of an ongoing program that's been in place for job creation. You create, 50 jobs, you get $2,000 credit per job out of the ED fund. I think it's been in place for close to a decade, and happy to allow them to take advantage of it. But when you look at their total investment, now, climbing, I think, in excess of $100 million between the two facilities. They're getting ready to open the other one here at the 1st of October. Just couldn't be happier to have them as a partner and to have them investing in the entire team, from their CEO, Matt, to Doug, to Crystal, their HR here local, and all the folks. This is just a good opportunity, another win, for Galesburg. It's not that we, don't pay, try not to pay too much attention, right? But, all we ever hear is, well, coffee shops and, and liquor stores, right? Well, here's a company that's invested in town that, like I said, well over 300 employees, 300 jobs that have been created, in the last, 18 months. So very excited for them, wish them the best, and obviously working with them, and I hope this isn't the last announcement.
And the incredible number, of course, they make meat sticks is like 1.2 million meat sticks.
A day.
A day.
Right.
Yeah, not a year, a day.
Yeah, that's a lot of snack sticks.
It is.
But that's a growing industry. They obviously have done a great job finding partners within the market to produce those, and they obviously have a great product. So, and again, it's being manufactured here and sent out of here. So, very excited to see where they go, see their continued trajectory, and just very grateful for their continued investment in our city.
I know they've had quite a push on hiring, new people. Is it October next month? Are they supposed to open their new?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I think they posted on LinkedIn. They had a job fair for the Maytag side of the equation location maybe a couple weeks ago, and had a significant number of applicants come through. So, like I said, really excited. All the feedback I've gotten from the company has been positive, and they're looking forward and ready to roll. But from the days of probably 8-10 employees out at Thrushwood Farms, and although I miss some of their product, that was such a great business that Jim and Kay ran for years. But to see the success, see the growth, see what they've done, and see what that's become for our community is pretty spectacular.
The council will vote tonight on Mayor Schwartzman's nomination of Angelica Mangieri to fill the remainder of Bradley Hicks's Ward 1 term. We've reported on this pretty extensively, but is this process normal throughout the state as far as the mayor nomination council approval? Is that like a state statute, or is it a city?
Yeah. There's state statutory guidelines governing the appointment process, but it's pretty vague. The one beautiful thing about this is the one thing the city manager doesn't have any involvement in. So, but I've been through a number of these in other locations, and every mayor takes a little bit different approach, but I think this is one that Mayor Schwartzman was comfortable with, and obviously got a candidate pool and made his recommendation, and then it's the mayor's recommendation with council concurrence. If the council doesn't support one, he could appoint a second one. If they don't support that one, then he picks one of those two. But I think he went through a pretty thorough process and made his selection, and looking forward to seeing the council make a decision and moving on.
When would the new person take over?
Well, if they're accepted, if she's accepted tonight, I think it goes in as soon as he signs the actual resolution for the nomination. But that would put her at first meeting in early October.
Okay, that's pretty much it for the agenda. What are we looking for in the near future? Any big projects or things you need to be planning out?
Well, for us, it's budget time.
Yeah.
So the calendar year budget is due at the end of the year. So we are definitely working with council on that, getting through that. I think we're a lot of work has gone on over the last 60 plus days, putting that together and getting things ready and to present to council and the community and talk about what the priorities are for next year and going forward. So honestly, that's kind of that's what's on our radar right now.
Kind of a broad question, but what's the financial shape of Galesburg?
It's steady. We've seen things flatten out, obviously in certain areas, but sales tax revenue is up a little bit. I would say we're kind of in that 2 to 3% type of growth in most areas. It's so difficult because of the way the city funding comes in. A lot of it comes through the state. It ebbs and flows. So, but we're tracking in a pretty normal trajectory year over year. Obviously, there's always challenges because there are more projects that are needed than we have funds for. But by and large, I think we'll continue to make investments in the places that we need, including everything from parks to obviously, public safety out of the general fund gets 65 to 70% of all the money in the general fund goes to public safety related expenses, and then everything else kind of divides up to 30%. So, we continue to make that a priority. Obviously working with infrastructure as well is kind of key, and we continue to make some progress, I think, on the water side as well. So I think hopefully in 2026 we'll have made pretty substantial progress on that if we continue moving in the direction we're moving. So that's kind of our priorities. That's certainly what we're going to lay out to council here, towards the end of the month with the initial draft, and then keep moving forward.
And the city sent out a nice update last week on the Simmons Street project with the parking lot and the street there. Hope to be wrapped up, sounds like next week. I see the the intersection, at least one way, was open on Kellogg Street yesterday. I was kind of surprised to see that.
Well, we made some modifications for the opening of the Orpheum.
Okay.
So they had pretty big crowds Thursday and I think Saturday night, Friday night. I can't remember. Andrew let us know that they were expecting 500 plus both nights. So we tried to make some modifications to get patrons in and out of there. Obviously, knowing, I've heard and we've heard different things. The project seems to be taking forever, and actually, it's on schedule. The problem is that so much of the work was actually underground. You don't pave over roads that have 100-year-old infrastructure underneath, and it does take time to put that stuff in. There's a lot of conflicts underground, so we want it done as well. I think the forecast is looking favorable through the end of the month for us to be able to get it paved, get it marked, and get it open. I think when it's done, just like with most construction projects, when it's done, folks are generally pleased. It's just during the time frame. That's not to minimize the disruptions, for the folks that are operating immediately in the area. We certainly understand that, and I think by and large the crew has done a good job, trying to get out of the way. The Prairie Street intersection is obviously really nice. The lights are in, the street lights are up, and the part of the parking lot that's done is, I think, in pretty good shape. So we're looking forward to it. Hopefully here in the next couple of weeks, substantial progress and get things opened up, and then obviously completely wrapped up by the end of October.
Okay, that's Eric Hanson. Thanks for joining us, Eric. Tonight's City Council meeting, 6 p.m. at Galesburg City Hall.